The human being suffers because his energy is divided. Full hearted commitment is the secret to being alive. A divided man is a dying man. A man whose mind is split between 10 things is a man who never lives a single moment of his life. You might have seen this with people who are into corporate. They are highly focused, not because they are disciplined, not because they are corporate, but because their inner energy has chosen its master. They live in the world of their work. Their notifications are not interruptions. They are portals into the only world they actually belongs to. You envy them not because they work hard, but because they belong somewhere, because their energy is not fractured. You have lived most of your life in fracture. You have lived in duality. You have lived in the half-hearted moments of a man who looks outward more than inward. Now you have glimpsed a different way. The truth about full-hearted commitment, it is not the secret to success. It is not the secret to discipline. It is not even the secret to greatness. It is the secret to being alive. A human being who puts his entire inner energy into the act in front of him, whether it is reading, lifting, walking, building, talking, enters a dimension that ordinary life never touches. You call it full hearted. I would call it the disappearance of the divided self. When you place your entire inner energy into the thing you are doing, thought dies, story dies, desire dies, fear dies, comparison dies, ambition dies, time dies. You are left with the act, and you, but even you, dissolve. This is the highest state of living available to a human being. It is not spirituality, it is not productivity, it is sanity. Why life becomes easy? Life becomes easy because there is no friction inside you. Suffering is born from resistance. Resistance is born from division. When the mind goes one way and the body goes another, you feel pain. When desire goes one way and reality goes another, you feel torment. When you want 10 things at once, you lose all of them. But when you want only the thing in front of you and you give yourself to it completely, life becomes unbelievably simple. Not euphoric, not blissful, simple. The greatest luxury of life is simplicity. Few ever taste it. Is full-hearted commitment the secret to life? Yes, not because it takes you somewhere, but because it removes everything that is destroying you. It is not a secret of achievement, it is the secret of ending the noise. It is the secret of ending the war inside you. When the war ends, whatever you do becomes powerful, because the totality of your being is inside it. A half-hearted man can work 100 years and remain mediocre. A full-hearted man can work 100 days and transform his world. Listen carefully. You are sensing the beginning of one-pointedness. A state where your inner energy stops leaking into imagination, comparison, ego, fear, desire. A state where the act itself becomes your home. This is not something you should practice. It is something you allow. Full-hearted commitment is not effort. It is surrender. It is the surrender of the divided mind. It is the surrender of the fantasy self. It is the surrender of the chase. The moment you stop chasing, you have energy. The moment you stop imagining, you have presence. The moment you stop dividing, you have power. The man who gives his whole inner energy to the moment in front of him becomes untouchable by the world and untouchable by his own mind. The human being suffers because his energy is divided. Why? Because division creates conflict. Look at your own life. One part of you wants discipline, another part wants comfort. One part wants to build wealth, another part wants to scroll Instagram. One part wants to read, another part wants to check messages. One part wants to be calm, another part wants excitement. This internal split is not small. It tears the human being from the inside. Suffering is not caused by circumstances. It is caused by inner contradiction. A divided human being is constantly negotiating with himself, fighting his own impulses, resisting his own desires, battling his own thoughts, hating his own weaknesses, judging his own actions. This constant internal civil war drains life force. A human being does not suffer because life is difficult. He suffers because he is never fully anywhere. He is always off in the moment and half in his mind. And anything half is agony. Full hearted commitment is the secret of being alive. Why? Because the moment your inner energy becomes one pointed, conflict ends. When there is only one direction, there is no friction. Imagine a river divided into 10 streams. It becomes weak, slow, shallow. But when it is one body of water, it becomes powerful enough to carve mountains. The same is true with human energy. When your energy goes completely into the moment, thought dies, time dies, desire dies, comparison dies, ego dies, fear dies. All the things that torture you disappear. What remains is presence, the only place where life actually exists. When you are fully in the act in front of you, you are not thinking about the future, you are not replaying the past, you are not imagining scenarios, you are not fluctuating between desires, you are simply alive. Most humans never experience this even for 1 minute. Not because it is rare, but because they are constantly somewhere else. Full hearted commitment is not about achievement, it is about the end of self created suffering. A human being who puts his entire inner energy into the act in front of him enters a dimension ordinary life never touches. What does this mean? It means he enters the only state where the human being is free from himself. Ordinary life is filled with distraction, noise, thought, ego, doubt, fear, ambition, insecurity, comparison. This is the ordinary dimension, the default human condition. When you place your entire inner energy into what you are doing, there is no leftover attention to feed suffering. Suffering needs attention to survive. If your attention is completely in the act, suffering starves. You access your highest natural intelligence. When thought stops interfering, your action becomes clean, precise, effortless. Artists call it flow, athletes call it the zone, monks call it no mind. They are all talking about the same dimension. You experience the rarest human feeling, being whole. A human being is whole only when he is not divided. In that wholeness, there is a quality of living that is beyond anxiety, boredom, fear, ambition, ego, identity. It is not happiness, it is not joy, it is something deeper, undisturbed aliveness. Action becomes meditation. Reading becomes meditation. Lifting becomes meditation. Walking becomes meditation. Even breathing becomes meditation. Not because you are practicing meditation, but because your inner energy is unified. Meditation is not a technique, it is a natural state of the mind that is one pointed. The most important line: when your entire energy is in the act in front of you, you cease to exist as a divided mind, and that is the highest form of being alive. This is what monks seek. This is what athletes stumble upon. This is what artists accidentally fall into. And this is what you are beginning to taste deliberately. Most people spend their entire life never touching this dimension even once. But you are touching it now. Full hearted commitment removes everything that is destroying you. What does this mean? It means a human being is destroyed from the inside by friction, not by circumstances, not by mistakes, not by failures, not by competition, destroyed by fiction, the endless stories the mind creates. These stories take many shapes. I will make 100 crores. I am not enough yet. One day I will be great. What will people think? What if I fail? What if I succeed? I need to impress them. My life must look a certain way. I need to be someone. I should be further by now. Each story becomes a parallel reality, and each parallel reality divides your inner energy. Instead of being one pointed, you become 1,000 broken fragments. This fragmentation is what destroys you, not physically, but psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. It destroys your peace, clarity, spontaneity, confidence, creativity, intelligence, presence. A divided man is a suffering mind. A suffering mind is a powerless mind. Full hearted commitment is the secret of ending the war inside you. Which war? The war between who you are and who your mind is trying to be. The war between the act and the fantasy. The war between reality and imagination. The war between your natural self and your constructed self. This war is endless because it has no ground. Your fantasies are infinite. Your desires are infinite. Your fears are infinite. Your ego is infinite. You cannot win this war. You can only exit it. How? by going full hearted into the act in front of you. Because when you put your entire inner energy into what you are doing right now, there is no leftover attention to feed the stories. They vanish, they starve, they evaporate. This is what I mean when I say full hearted commitment removes everything that is destroying you. It cuts off the oxygen to the fantasies that drain you, disappearing instead of fighting the war. What does this mean? Some wise man said, so it's better to fully commit and disappear rather than fight the endless war inside my mind. Yes, this is exactly it. You don't defeat the stories, you don't overpower the fantasies, you don't conquer the ego, you outgrow them by leaving them unfed. The moment your entire energy goes into the lift, the run, the breathe, the conversation, the reading, the building, the act in front of you, your inner world becomes clean. There is no space for 100 crores, 50 crores. What if I fail? What if I succeed? How do I look? Who am I becoming? Those stories are the war, and without attention, they die. Full hearted commitment does not take you to success, it takes you out of suffering. It takes you out of fantasy, anxiety, ambition, ego, confusion, self judgment, comparison, fear, self division. Once all of that is gone, whatever you do becomes powerful because the whole of you is inside the moment. This is the secret to being alive. Not successful, alive. And when you become truly alive, success becomes a side effect, not a pursuit. Anything half is agony. Why? Because half means split, and split means tension. Human suffering is not caused by what you're doing, it's caused by being divided while doing it. Let me explain this. Half means two directions at the same time. When you are half in the gym and half scrolling your phone, your body is doing one thing, your mind is doing another. Two directions is tension. Tension is agony. When you are half reading and half thinking about WhatsApp, attention is split into two worlds. Two worlds is conflict. Conflict is anxiety. When you are half at home but half thinking about future success, your feet are here, but your mind is 20 years ahead. Present versus imagination is friction. Friction is suffering. A human being cannot live in two dimensions simultaneously. When he tries, he suffers. Half means you can't immerse and you can't escape. You're not fully in the act, but you're also not fully away from it. This limbo state is torture. Example, you sit to read. You're not fully reading, but you also feel guilty for not reading. You are in between. This in between state is agony. Or consider this. You went to rest, but your mind says you should be working. You are not resting, you are not working. You are stuck in a hellish middle state. This is where 99% of humans live. It is the most painful state possible. Half means you can't give and you can't receive. When you give half effort, you don't get results. You don't get satisfaction. You don't get peace. Example, half-hearted gym session, no physical progress, plus you feel weak mentally. Half-hearted reading, no learning, plus mental frustration. Half-hearted discipline, no growth, plus guilt. So you get the pain of effort plus the pain of failure. This double pain is agony. Half means internal opposition. When you do something half, here's the truth. One part of you wants it, another part doesn't. This creates an internal push and pull. This push and pull is the war. No one talks about it, but every human feels it. I want to go to the gym, but not really. I want to read, but I also want to check my phone. I want to build something, but I also want comfort. This internal opposition tears your inner energy apart. This tearing is felt as suffering. Half means you are not living, you are surviving. When you do anything half, you are not present, you are not alive. You are not immersed, you are not flowing, you are not grounded, you are simply enduring the moment. This endurance creates subtle misery. Full heartedness, on the other hand, creates no misery because there is no resistance, there is no conflict, there is no division. You become one unit, bold. Boldness is the natural state of peace, division is the natural state of agony. Why full heartedness ends agony? Because when you go full into something, there is no leftover energy to resist, no leftover energy to judge, no leftover energy to fantasize, no leftover energy to compare, no leftover energy to fear. There is only the act. And in that act, the self disappears, and with it, suffering disappears. This is why a full hearted moment is peace, a half hearted moment is pain. It is not philosophy, it is physics of the inner world. Your agony is not caused by effort. Your agony is caused by doing everything with only half of yourself. When the whole of you enters the moment, life stops hurting. A human being suffers only one disease, division. When he is half in the moment and half in his mind, he lives in torment. Because anything done halfway tears you apart from inside. It is like trying to walk while pulling yourself in two opposite directions. Half-heartedness is agony because a fragmented being cannot taste life. But the moment you place your entire inner energy into the act in front of you, not to achieve, not to impress, not to become someone, but simply because the act is there, the endless war inside you ends. All inner noise is created by resistance. And full-hearted commitment is the absence of resistance. It is not a sacrifice. It is the end of a burden you've carried your whole life. When the war ends, you do not become powerful. You simply stop weakening yourself. And whatever you touch becomes alive. Full-hearted commitment is not the secret to getting anywhere. It is the secret to finally being here.